Hi there, this is Charles Kelly, author of the book Yes, Money Can Buy You Happiness and former financial advisor for 25 years. Well, today the UK Chancellor Rishi Sunak has announced a new scheme to prevent mass unemployment when the current job retention or furlough scheme comes to an end next month. Rishi Sunak is fairly new Chancellor. He's been popular so far because he's basically been throwing a lot of money around. And he's announced something called the Job Support Scheme, which is going to replace the Job Retention Scheme, or the furlough scheme as it's known, giving people in work 3/4 of their normal salaries for up to 6 months. Basically what the government is doing is topping up the wages of workers who have not been able to return to their full-time workplace yet due to coronavirus restrictions, instead of paying people just to sit at home doing nothing. Sunak hopes that the new 300 million a month package starting on the 1st of November will prevent mass unemployment and mass job cuts when the furlough scheme ends on the 31st of October. It was widely expected that a lot of companies would not take back workers after the furlough scheme comes to an end, and a lot of people would just be, on the job heap, on the unemployment heap. So this scheme is designed to sort of prevent that, and at the moment we've got nearly 3 million workers on the job return on the furlough scheme, and that means a lot of those workers are effectively not very productive, and it was widely expected that these amount of workers, or 12% of the workforce, could be losing their jobs when the furlough scheme comes to an end next month, because a lot of employers maybe just say, well, we might as well keep them here because we're getting 60 or 80% of their salary, why not? I mean, the scheme has probably saved a lot of businesses, there's no doubt about it. Businesses I speak to say, well, at least we had the furlough scheme. Other businesses maybe were not that successful anyway, and they've just been getting this money in, so it's been quite good for some businesses. Some businesses have actually benefited from this, but what he's saying really, he actually said he wants to support the wages of people in work, giving viable businesses, that's the key word, viable businesses who face depressed demand, the option of keeping employers in a job on maybe shorter hours, rather than making them redundant, because when they're made redundant, then they start claiming benefits and housing benefit and all sorts of things. But he said he would only support viable jobs. These are businesses that are likely to survive, as opposed to jobs that only exist because the government is continuing to subsidise the wages. And he said he cannot save every business and cannot save every job. And he also said that it offers businesses who have borrowed money under the various government loan schemes more time to repay the money. And also, he said the VAT cut for hospitality and tourism, which employs millions of people in the UK, will be extended until March. He said that small businesses who took out a bounce back loan will be able to use a new scheme called the Pay As You Grow flexible repayment system, which means that government's repayments on borrowings can now be extended and spread over 10 years instead of the original 6-year term, and the government guarantee will remain in place. Now, these rescue packages that have been going on since March are the largest series of measures since the Second World War, and it's leaving the UK with a £300 million deficit. How that's going to be repaid will be probably announced in the budget next spring, but it's certainly an awful lot of money. So it's a 300 billion deficit, not a 300 million deficit, and that's an awful lot of money. When you think about how much a billion is, a billion is an amount of money that people could live on for generations of people. So 300 billion is just unbelievable. There's not that many more billionaires than that in the whole world, and 300 billion is just the deficit. And there's probably more money owed in other types of borrowing that the government has made to keep this going. So this could take generations to repay. Basically, it's going to take years and years. Like the war debt incurred in the Second World War took until about the 1970s, 80s to be repaid. So it is. Meanwhile, the stock market is okay. It's neutral. It's still high. Property market seems to be booming along, and employers have welcomed this job scheme obviously because it helps them. But the property market is still busy, believe it or not. Now, some people say it's because there's high demand but low supply, which pushes prices up. But I was interested in the property recently. They said there's going to be an open viewing day, and I said, well, how many people are coming? They said 15. I thought, wow, and he said we expect the price to go significantly higher than the asking price. So I'm not going to go chasing after deals like that. But everything I look at is either been snapped up or there's offers in and that sort of thing. So people are still buying properties, even though we've got all these economic numbers here that say we're in the deepest recession since probably the 80s. We've got big deficit. We've got companies that could lay off a lot of people in October despite this new scheme, and the country is really one of the worst affected in the G7, and yet people are still buying shares. They're still buying properties. I don't quite understand it, and I think when the economic realities hit, that's when I think we could see a stock market reduction or stock market correction, and a big reduction in property prices, maybe the end of this year or early next year. That's my own view. And as for businesses, surviving this, there's a saying that you've got to be in it to win it, right? If you don't buy a lottery ticket, you can't expect to win the lottery. And it's the same with businesses. If your business is not even open, or you're opening, barely opening, saying, well, we've got these COVID-19 restrictions, then how can you expect to do business? I'm thinking of an example fairly recently when I was helping somebody, and we went along to look at, I won't say what type of business it was, but there were two companies in the high street. One was recommended, one was, they're okay. So we went to the first one, and there's a sign on the window saying, due to COVID restrictions, we're no longer allowed we can't open at the moment. We can't have a branch here. So then you ring this number, and there's this guy on the phone. It's a crackly line. It's not very clear. And he doesn't sound like the type of person you'd want to be answering a phone. Maybe you'd want him in the background somewhere, but not speaking directly to customers. And that's all I'll say about him. So we went a few doors along, and they're literally in the high street a few doors away. And this place is open. They said, yeah, come in, sit down. We've got a little meeting room here. They gave all the information. They're offering the things that we need, and yet the other place is like, no, we're only dealing on the phone. And of course, they got the business, and it was quite a substantial order. And so you've got to be actually open to be surviving and making money. Now, some people say, well, you need staff and all that sort of thing, but that place could have run on one person or maybe two part-timers. It didn't need. It's not a shop where you need dozens of staff or a restaurant or something. And yet I see so many businesses either closed or lack of stock or just reducing everything. And it reminds me of what Zig Ziglar said years ago, that during the recession, most people decide not to work because there's a recession. And he said, if you decide you're not to join the recession, as he put it, you can pick up the business that other people are leaving on the table because they just decided that nobody's got any money, nobody wants to buy anything in this market, who wants to buy this? So they subconsciously just slow down and stop doing the things that they were doing before the recession. And certainly if they believed that they could get business, they'd be out there working and marketing. So that's what I would say to businesses. You've got to be open and in it to win it. Now, of course, if you're a pub, then you perhaps can't stay open if you need lots of staff there. And there's one famous pub in Camden Town, I think it's the World's End, that I've always known it to be busy and full of people 7 days a week. And they're now only opening in the evening. Of course, there's new restrictions coming on saying that they won't be able to open late. And Camden is a very late night economy. So, yeah, I do feel for those sorts of businesses. I'm not saying they should open all day and have staff in there when there's no one coming through the door. I understand that. But certain other businesses certainly could be open more and could be offering their services. And then they would probably survive this much better. So that's my advice to businesses. So thanks for listening, and have a great day, and stay safe out there. Thanks a lot. And thank you everyone who tunes in on Facebook Live. Hi Salome. I haven't been on every day because there's been some other things going on in the background, and I might change the format to come on when at least once a week, or if there's announcements like there is today with this job scheme. So thanks for listening. Have a great evening. Bye for now.